It's all systems go for Gather Round as Adelaide and Carlton pick their poison, and there's a selection shock out of the Blues.
The urgency at Collingwood is clear as both Scott Pendlebury and Nick Dacos return for Friday night.
And an audience with an icon. Tony Modra flies by as we revel in the local flavour.
I said to the players today, can you help me? I'm on 360 tonight.
Are you aware of that conversation?
Yeah, I don't live under a rock.
The reality is now that the gloves are off, ball's fair and love more.
My job is pretty clear. Make Hawthorn win.
Wouldn't be very good at hide and seek pitch, I reckon. Marco Polo. Polo! Marco!
I can't have that. What do you want us to play worse?
When you caught my eye and Mustang.
I reckon it's just about the greatest prize that's ever happened in footy.
Nurse had a look at it, she said, there's a dent in that cup. And I had a bit of a look and sure enough there is.
It's been a wet weather timetable for much of the day, but it has cleared up superbly with that real sense of come one, come all to Gather Round. It's our second night of residency here in the McLaughlin Room at Adelaide Oval. Gary Lyon, the vibe has doubled since last night.
Much better group. I think they got in early. They might have gone to the bar, I think, and had a couple. But no, we've got locals, we've got travellers, and it's building beautifully. And I know we've got a massive lineup tonight that will do justice to Gather Round for.
We are here for UE Insurance Made for Fans. Tonight we are going to answer one question. Is one show big enough for these two men? Not the Premier and the Chief Executive of the AFL, not you and me, Dermot Brereton and Tony Modra.
No, it's not. I can answer that straight up. I hope you got drink cards for them. And relive their wild youth.
State of origin royalty, aren't they? Plus some of the exploits.
We spoke to Mark Rashudo about Tony Modra, and the people here, the locals, will know just how big. Like, he is rock star big, and you can just speak to Dermot, and he'll tell you how big he was back in the day.
John Longmire's made the trip. Semo's a bit flat to be left at home.
The blanket is back home, and Johnny Longmire, the great man, is going to be here, and there's been a big selection shock from a Carlton point of view that we'll be discussing.
All right, we'll pick that apart as we work our way through. And then First Crack follows 360 tonight to look into the events of round 5. It is our Wednesday night tradition to start our agenda out at Penfolds McGill Estates cellar door with the two men under which we gather, the Premier of the State and the Chief Executive of the AFL, Peter Malinauskas and Andrew Dillon. Great to have you both with us back on 360. Premier, you are a man who has a reputation of being able to get it done, but I will say in the past couple of hours, your capacity to clear the clouds and the rain and have the sun perfectly set for this function tonight, I'm impressed.
No, I've been worried about the weather over the course of the last few days. It's going to be magic at the beginning of next week, but I think we're going to get a little bit of traditional footy weather over the weekend, but also some rays of sunshine, so something for everybody.
What's the feel in the build-up, Andrew? As we know, for a couple of weeks there'd been hesitancy in the community around what was expected and petrol prices and cost of living. What's your sense, particularly in the way tickets have moved?
Yeah, look, there has been that little bit of hesitation, Gerard, but the great thing is, and what we're seeing is people, flocking over the borders, whether they're coming in by planes or making the road trips across. So, the Premier will talk about it a bit later, but I think, the hotel occupancy's up and we're seeing such strong demand for tickets. And if my emails and text messages are anything to go by, I think we're going to have plenty of sellouts and lots of big crowds.
So give us that sense, Premier, and what you're able to measure. What's the caravan like arriving here this year?
I'll be honest with you, Gerard, I was worried a couple of weeks ago. The cost of driving across the border has escalated pretty substantially, and that's a significant outlay for someone. But it's really interesting. We saw a couple of weeks ago some occupancy numbers drop, and then they've all been completely replaced, plus some. So more hotel rooms have been booked over the course of the weekend than what was true last year, and that was obviously a record. And we're also seeing the same in terms of the numbers that we can measure for airport arrivals. And the other metric that obviously we both share is ticket sales, which are up year on year. So all directions are pointing to this being potentially even bigger than last year, which is hard for me to get my head around given some of the complexities around the place. But you can feel the anticipation. And as soon as the first ball bounces tomorrow night, it'll be all about the footy, and there's some cracking games, which I'm really looking forward to watching if I get the chance.
We all are. There's no question about that. And one of the big questions that needs to be answered by probably the end of Gather Round, Andrew, is whether South Australia and Adelaide are going to sign a long-term deal. I'm wondering, do you look at the wine list early to find out whether or not they're trying to woo you, or how do we know where it sits at the minute?
Yeah, I've been told just to stick to the mineral waters tonight because he's got some tactics I understand. But look, I've been asked this a few times today, and look, South Australians are putting their best foot forward. You've got the incredible Adelaide Oval, which is the centrepiece of Gather Round, and as I said, like, you see the number of people that are coming across and the people from South Australia who are embracing Gather Round. It's hard not to like what we're seeing, and the best thing also is that, you know, as we've gone through to our 4th edition, continuing to innovate and making sure that there's things for everyone, whether it's the footy festival across the road from Adelaide Oval or the Norwood Food and Wine Festival out at the Barossa again this year, you know, which leaves also an incredible legacy for local footy out in the Barossa as well.
You always get the best result when it's a competitive bidding process. Premier, do you think you're up against someone else, or have you got the whip hand here?
I think we're in the box seat, but there's work to be done. And, you know, if you're going to do something properly, you've got to make sure you do it thoroughly. And from mine, we've got to put some on the table, some innovations to make sure Gather Round stays fresh year in, year out. And we've put some ideas to the AFL over the course of the last week. That requires a bit of effort and a bit of work to make sure we can pull it off. But make no mistake, and I'm very comfortable in saying this, if South Australia is fortunate enough to be able to get an extension for the Gather Round contract, I can guarantee next year you're going to see some things that are very different that you haven't seen in the first 4 iterations of Gather Round, because we believe there is growth in this concept. There is something very unique about it, and I think there's more we can do to bring it to life without doing anything to compromise its authenticity and the grassroots nature of the way people come together. So we've got some big plans for it. It's just a matter of whether or not we can nut out some of the finer details and get a deal across the line.
I can see a handball competition at halftime on Sunday's game, out in the middle, crowd roaring, 5 years for the bullseye, 10 years if you miss the board. Here's this how it's going to land.
That big, Gerard?
Yeah.
You know, I think we would...
That worked with Gill, but he's a bit better than Gill on his left hand. So
well, that'll get
we like the sound of that, Premier. Is the McLaren Vale part of these ongoing plans?
You'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. That's in the hands of Andrew and the Commission. If they give us the chance, there's a few things that are on the table.
That's a yes. What else do you want to ask?
I'll take that as a yes. Are we finished with Gather Round? You're going to move on to more pressing issues?
I am interested, Premier, just the pilgrimage across the border. And Border Town is such a fixture of that, and the way that it's all decked out. So just the whole of state push for it just gives us an encapsulation of that.
Yeah. Look, the people that have brought this to life, more than everyone who travels here from around the country, but particularly from Victoria, are other South Australians putting in their best efforts, whether it be in the southeast of the state, in Border Town, Keith, other regional communities who are just embracing everything that we love about living in this beautiful part of our country. And we get to put it on show. Gather Round gives us that platform, and I just can't thank everyone in the state enough for making it worthwhile for people to make the journey across. And if we get the chance, we'll keep it up. But a shout out to everyone in Border Town and other communities who make that journey a little bit unique and special. A lot of people are doing it, notwithstanding the petrol prices, and I can't thank them all enough.
And there's lots to be excited about, Andrew, and the footy's going to be great. We had Ebony Marinoff in here yesterday, or last night rather, and we talked about the prospect of maybe an AFLW Origin game, maybe one that involves the Irish contingent. Is that something that you are seriously considering, either next year for Gather Round or at some stage on the footy calendar?
Yeah, look, Gaz, absolutely. We're looking at how we get our best AFLW players on the ground at the same time. So whether that's a state of origin type, like which we had earlier this year for the men, or Australia v Ireland, which I think playing Australian rules footy would be an incredibly close game and would be an amazing spectacle. So that's certainly on the horizon for us with AFLW, and Laura Kane and her team are leading those discussions at the moment with the playing group just to find the right time in the calendar for a game like that. But I think there's certainly an appetite, as we saw with the men earlier this year between WA and Victoria, where we saw that huge crowd at Optus Stadium.
Premier, you have laid claim to a future Origin game already in South Australia. What about the women's side of things? Would you like to see the women's game represented at a future gather round?
Yeah, absolutely. And women's footy in South Australia, I think, really punches above its weight. You've seen the performance of the Crows being a pretty consistent top performer, and then, of course, Port coming along nicely in the last couple of years. So I think there's great merit for it. I love the State of Origin concept. You know, to see it coming back this year, just as a footy fan, I think it was brilliant. And I think to do that for both women and men should be something shared across jurisdictions, and this provides a platform for the women in particular, and why wouldn't we pursue it, particularly given the time of the year?
It's a few layers to this week, Premier. One of those is the charity partner. It's your second year on this front with the Women's and Children's Hospital Foundation. And what was raised last year, I think you were able to speak to today and show the people what's the good that's been done.
Yeah, it was awesome, Gerard. Like, we were there today with young kids going through a bit of a difficult time, and they've got this magnificent new playground that is, and all in a pretty difficult environment to build one, I've got to say, which comes at a cost. And that's only there because of gather round. So, you know, this transcends just the economics, which are obviously very important and a good time. It's actually giving back to the community, and that you can feel that in everything about the way gather round operates. So that was great today, and it was always a privilege to see some of the players bring smiles to the kids' faces way more than Andrew and I were.
And another addition is the run for your club Saturday morning. Dills, you're going to do the 4K? You're going to get out there?
I was all set to get registered to run it, Gaz, but unfortunately I've got a conflicting appointment. We've got actually a big breakfast with all of our First Nations players. So if not for that pressing engagement, I'd certainly be out there bringing up the rear of the field, I reckon.
Well, Premier, are you getting in the shorts and the runners and doing the 4K? And if so, what time can we hold you to?
4Ks. I'm trying to stay below sub-minute, 5-minute Ks at the moment, which for a giraffe runner like me, that's probably as good as it gets. We'll wait and see if I get out there on Saturday morning.
All right. We know you're a man who can get a deal done. Just maybe Dills could just cover his ears here for a tick. What can you do, Premier, to keep Zach Butters at your footy club in this state?
Gee.
Close the border. Whatever it takes.
It might need that, Gerard. It might need that. There's 114 million coming into the state. That's what it's been reported. You might be able to divert some of that, Premier.
Look, I hope we get a lick of that. No, look, the boys... Look, Port, if we could get a win on every win we can get, and St Kilda on Sunday night would be a good start. That just helps our chances. But, look, the guy's a gun and a star. It's impossible not to love him. I wish him all the best for his future, but I desperately hope it's at the Port Adelaide Footy Club. He's the captain, so hopefully that's, for the time being anyway, so hopefully that's another feather in his cap that is a source of inspiration for staying here.
Terrific. Oh, yeah, that's popular here in the room, Premier. That's popular here in the room. So just as you leave us, Premier, you have built such a suite of sporting events for this state as we were here for one of the best test matches that's been staged on these shores. You've got ambitions for a World Cup cricket final, which would be quite a coup if you could get that away from the MCG. You've announced your intentions for Origin and the like. You've grabbed the MotoGP and made it something, I think, frankly, more than it's ever been in Victoria. Do you covet the national title as the sporting capital?
Yes, but I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. Look, Melbourne's obviously got that title, and they deserve it. There are some amazing things that Melbourne does well that truly only Melbourne can do. I guess I'm more interested in about South Australia having its own position in the market, and what we do is so good, Gerard, that it inspires people to get on a plane to come and enjoy it, and then enjoy it again the following year. And I think between Live Golf, Gather Round, the Supercars Grand Final, now MotoGP, what we've got with the Tour Down Under, a test match that is truly different from the other four around the country, I think we've got a suite of events there that stand on their own 2 feet, give us the platform to tell the economic story that South Australia is now enjoying, without, it being at the expense of anybody else. So we just love Victorians and anybody else that's willing to travel here for these events, and we'll make sure we keep putting on a good show for as long as we get the chance to do so.
Don't give up on that F1 season ender, Premier. There's a kernel of an idea there that over the course of the year you'll already have a track set up. Don't give up on that as an idea.
we're always open for discussion. You wouldn't believe it. So I reached out to the CEO of F1, and I'm on the phone to the CEO of F1, and it turns out he was standing next to Eddie Maguire at the same time. I was like, well, that's going to get out. And sure enough, it did. So we'll wait and see.
Always great to have you both with us on this night. Enjoy the week ahead, and thanks for staging Gather Round number 4. The AFL Chief Executive and the Premier of South Australia.
You're a reader of body language, Gerard. You always have been. How do you think it's going?
Yeah, they're fine.
They're fine.
They're fine.
They're going to get done again.
Yep.
I mean it from a competitive bidding point of view. I mean, I'm sure there are other states that would covet it, but I mean, they're perfectly placed. At some stage, they will have to cede it, I suspect. But right now, they're in the box seat, as the Premier said, and we're thrilled that we're here, and it's going to be a great 5 days.
But for my readers, there's no competing party at the moment.
That's a hard negotiation.
This is just in good faith between the two.
Yeah.
So they'll get the best deal from there. Adelaide and Carlton, that's our starting point tomorrow night. There is a story to tell at selection here, but what we know is that this is urgent. Both teams are 1 and 3 and most uncomfortable to be in that position.
There's no bigger stage. This is going to be a big one that the whole country's going to be here.
We get to kick off the round, and we know that's really important to them. We know it's a really important stage of the season for both them and us. So we look forward to that challenge.
And there's nowhere to hide. On Thursday night, more so than ever, with this gather round, they come here and play the home team who are as desperate for a win. So it's a very, very tough life to be a Carlton supporter, footballer and coach.
Don't make it bigger than what it is, and just still value the really important things we want in our game. There's really no other conversation. Not in here anyway.
If you put the games together this year, 500 minutes, I think they've played thereabouts of footy. I think they've led for nearly 400 minutes. So they're playing some great footy.
I think I said here last week, I said 120 minutes. Now we don't do it for 115, do it 120. Well, that's what we need to do.
We've got our work cut out for us because we're not necessarily starting well. You know, we're sitting in the opposite space at the moment.
It's not about, you know, throwing everything out and just going, okay, let's start again. It's finding those little things in our game that are clearly, if we bridge the gap on, that makes us a better football team.
We haven't got it done every year, but we'd like to think we bring something that really gets us back to our best Thursday night.
Reprising the inaugural Gather Round game, which Adelaide won handsomely. The changes here, there are 4 changes at the Crows. Laird and Cumming, Hinge and Nankervis all come in. Pedler we knew was concussed. O'Brien, who's to say when the previous first ruck plays again, Bond and Jones. The big story, though, is at Carlton. It's in the outs, and omitted is the reigning best and fairest George Hewett. So Wiedering with the concussion, Hayward suspended, Hewett is out, Haynes, Williams and O'Keefe. So this was jolting when it arrived.
It was. I didn't see it coming. It's a statement. It's a statement piece. He wouldn't have done it on a whim. Went back and had a look at it. We did the game last week. We all see things differently when we're outside the tent. So, you know, what he's been coached clearly is Michael's got a bit of an issue with. Externally, watching it, you know, as a bystander, he wasn't the worst. He was their leading possession winner. Now possessions aren't everything. He was the leading possession winner in the game last week against North Melbourne, and more significantly for me, given what I've been banging on about over the last few weeks, he was their leading tackler. So and it'd be interesting to speak to John Longmire, who knows him from his Sydney Swans days. But as I said, surprises are good sometimes because it opens your eyes to what's going on to footy club. And what will happen, I'm sure of this, is that not that they needed it, but the rest of that group will sit up and take notice because he's I know he's an enormously respected player and he does things right and he's the sort of bloke that you love having in your team. So if he goes, then they're all in danger. And so it's a message.
Yeah, so we'll ask about the art of coaching in that with John Longmire in a tick. The Adelaide side of things is they wouldn't want to leave here tomorrow night at 1 and 4.
No, it's 13th v 15th, Gerard. So, but we suspect that Adelaide, you know, as we said last night, so the 4 games that they've played have been against, you know, serious opponents. They beat Collingwood in round 1. I did that game and they were okay. They didn't blow your socks off. They lost to the Bulldogs in a tight one, lost to Geelong by 8 points and then, you know, could have gone either way last week against Freo. Now, all of those sides are going to be contending, I think, the Western Bulldogs, Geelong and Fremantle. So, from that point of view, no disaster, but the expectation is they come here tomorrow night and do it well. and do it in a pretty emphatic style. My only concern is that, it's dried up a bit for them. They don't need to be all out offence, but it has dried up a bit for them. So Thilthorpe looms large with no weedering, and that might, they've got lots of challenges, Carlton, but that's the biggest one.
The team season is built on its record at home, and they have dropped 2 at this ground already, so that makes tomorrow night an absolute non-negotiable for
they've got to go and pinch a couple on the road now as a result of that, but no, there can be no result. It'll be a story if Carlton lose. How they lose will probably be a bigger story, because we suspect, most people would suspect they're going to lose, and it'll be a massive story if Adelaide do.
Yeah, Sarah Jones, Jason Dunstall lead our coverage, a stacked team on Fox Footy for the opener to gather round. John Longmire is about to join us, makes us smarter every week. So what does he read into the dropping of George Hewett? And a little more deeply than that, an eye toward the Pies coming up on AFL 360. John Longmire about to join us after this.
Back to LDU, and his kick is wide. It's batted back in, no score. Dirksen in his first game. How's he coping? Holland's in the pocket. It's still there to be won. Davies Uniac not quite. Simpkin brings it out. Sheasel. There was a moment to be seized. He seizes that moment, and the Roos are in front.
Play on the call. Cam will try and get it forward. Holland's Ollie, he wants to knock it. It's going to be Simpkin to win it back though. Handball to Sheasel. He sells the dummy. He goes for goal. Harry Sheasel at G'day Mines.
Tracking down after it is Hollands. He goes to ground. Here's a chance for the Blues. Simpkin and then Sheasel with the side step. He goes.
They can't get it out of their defensive 50. Holland's under all sorts of pressure. Davies Uniac stays there. Comes out to Sheasel. Brilliant step. Pulls the trigger. Oh, it's a magnificent goal. North are in front. And here it goes again for the Blues.
It would stir the heart of any shin boner. This man kicked 500 goals just like Tony Modra did, although not quite like Tony Modra did, would we say? Premiership coach John Longmire.
Thank you.
And 99.
98.
98.
Yes.
And what happened in the last game?
2 goals, 8. Thanks for bringing it up, Gary. Thanks very much for bringing it up.
I don't take any joy, but I thought the crowd needed to know.
That's good to know.
Gather round, we've come to know and love here in Adelaide. Right from the start, you were an advocate for it could work in Sydney. Are you holding to something like this could work in Sydney?
Absolutely. It might be W. I don't know. But a concept like it in Sydney would be awesome. I mean, arriving here today, I flew over with Heath Grundy and Nick Smith turning up tomorrow. Mick and Goodsey are turning up tomorrow as well. There's a whole contingent coming over. And I think, the great thing to have to have a version of this, and maybe it's W, maybe it's something else in Sydney, would be awesome to be able to have it up there.
All right, the story of the night from a coaching perspective is Michael Voss has dropped George Hewett. Now, we were together when this landed. Just what was your first reaction?
My first reaction was it certainly wouldn't be for a discipline thing or anything like that. He is a salt-of-the-earth person, George Hewett. One of those blokes that you love having in your footy club, a ripper, an absolute A-grade person. The only conclusion that I can come to would be they're trying to change up their midfield mix. And so it'd be really interesting to see what they do with their midfield group tomorrow night. And the first centre square bounce, or who replaces him in that midfield group, because that's the only thing that I could think of.
Did you ever make a selection decision to send a message?
Yeah, I probably did a few times. I mean, sometimes you just feel like you need to. I guess this one seems to be not so much a message. Maybe it is, considering that he was a best and fairest winner from last year, but it wouldn't be for any other reason. He wouldn't be because his lack of trying or lack of tackle or lack of pressure. Sometimes you make a decision based upon that, Gary. The highly talented player that you may be able to say, look, that's enough. We're not just relying upon talent here.
Yeah.
We're going to really, we need to reward hard work. That's not George Hewett. George Hewett is a hard worker. So I just think I haven't followed his form closely, so I couldn't guarantee you sitting here that he's been in great form. I haven't watched it closely enough. I can guarantee that he's a good person, and I reckon the only way they've done it, or one of the reasons they've done it, is to try and change up that midfield mix.
How different is it to, like, inside the tent and outside? Like, so we're surprised. 7 tackles, you know, he's not the elite ball user, but in terms of putting his head in the hole and putting pressure, and there's not at a time when they won't tackle Carlton. That's been a big issue for them. So how different can it be sometimes? And have you looked at it and go, you media or supporters, you're not seeing what we're seeing?
That can happen, and it does happen. Absolutely, it does happen. And only because I've coached doesn't mean I know what's happening inside the four walls of the Carlton Footy Club. So you don't know what's been reinforced about what they're trying to do. I guess looking from the outside, you'd like to think that they were trying to pressure and tackle and do the things that are the controllables, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But from inside the footy club, it's really they'll be trying to reward something, and or they just maybe trying to change the whole mix of it up, and in particular the midfield mix.
Something a little more vivid that happened right in front of us was the contact from coach to player, which was unusual and has been debated in a whole lot of fronts. So you've lived the coalface here. What do you think when you see Alistair Clarkson?
Yes, I guess I've given a couple of strong conversations at different times over the years, Gerard, quarter time or three-quarter time. I don't know whether I've ever got the physical aspect to that.
Is that the first time you saw that?
It's the first time I've seen it close up, Does
it surprise you?
It's pushing the edge.
Is it?
Pushing the edge.
You know Clarko as well as any of us.
Yeah, it's and I can only look at that vision now and be confident that they've got a great relationship. And you really don't know. Each player's a bit different, but if you've got a really strong relationship with your playing group, you can push them a bit harder. And he must have a strong relationship, because after the game they were fine, they were fantastic. I think he even said it after the game.
He did, yeah.
He was sweet with it. They've moved on, so you can only say that they're really in a good space.
Collingwood are on both of your minds, and we want to delve here. So every Wednesday night we have Macca's offering 99 cents McDelivery. We take 99 seconds for a game incoming. It's going to be a longer conversation than that, but we'll start our clock. The first part of it is the medical conversation. When you're the coach, and we're so curious as to what's happened with Darcy Moore and then Nick Dacos, and what's the coach thinking with his medical staff? What are these conversations look like now they've both been declared to play Friday night?
Yeah, a lot of work goes into this during the week. There's a lot of discussion. I mean, it really depends upon the player and the injury, and how experienced the player is, how much you can trust them, but also the injury. If the injury is a soft tissue injury, that's something that's really delicate, because you don't want to be sitting there in the first 5 minutes almost waiting for something to go wrong. Whereas if it's a corky or a sore Achilles, things like that maybe your experienced players can play with, and you might be confident that they can get to at least half-time, say with an Achilles, and hopefully hang on the rest of the game with 5 on the bench, you might be a bit more willing to take a punt. You'd be relying heavily upon your medical staff and your senior players. But I just think it's down to the player and the injury. If the injury is a soft tissue, you wouldn't be taking the risk if they're not quite right, but they look as though they're okay.
And this is a part of knowing your player as well. Like we talked about knowing how far you can push, say, a McKercher. You would trust some players to make the decision. You might have your doubts, but you go, no, I trust him implicitly.
Yeah.
And there would be others, for no other reason than maybe they haven't had the experience, where you go, well, we need to take that out of your hands.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were forced with that into the grand final a couple of years ago with Millsy, and now that wasn't because of trust, because Millsy's one of the most trusted players you could ever imagine. It was just because of a soft tissue injury. And that's why I think that the actual injury itself, there's a lot to do with that. You need to make sure that it's not a soft tissue, then in which case you're sitting there waiting for something to happen.
And Gaz, Collingwood are on your mind. You've spent the day delving into them.
Yeah, they're interesting, aren't they? So they play Friday night against the Fremantle Footy Club, who are in good nick. They haven't beaten a top 8 side. So the qualifying final win, which was against Adelaide here, is the standout, almost an anomaly. From round 12 last year, they beat Hawthorn by 51 points. That's the last time they kicked 100 points in round 12. Last time they kicked 100 points against a top 8 side. They did it in round 17, but they haven't done it since. And they haven't beaten a top 8 side since, save for that qualifying final. So I think this is a really interesting time for them. I know Horsa talked about the list demographic. Their early drafting hasn't borne the sort of fruit that you would expect for first round picks, so that hasn't come through. I looked at, Sidebottom's off, Elliott's off, Darcy Cameron's off, Paddy Lipinski's off, which is fine. We all have ups and downs, and they're at an age where their footy, particularly Elliott and Sidebottom, where you expect it to be off. They've been great servants, but it's not, Ollie Henry and Finn McRae aren't there. It's not Reece McInnes who's come. It's not sort of Ed Allen who's in and out, or Harry Di Mattia. So, yeah, I think it's a challenge for them. I don't love them, but I admire them enormously for what they've been able to do. They led that preliminary final by 2 goals. Yep. They kicked 6 unanswered goals in the second quarter against Brisbane. And then that seems a long, long way from where they are now. Pendlebury and Dacos back into the side always gives them a shout. But we talk about the youngsters. Oscar Steen is not a youngster, but he's debuted, and they've got Angus Anderson, who's a 22-year-old who the South Australian people would know, played, was best on ground in the grand final out here. He's going to debut on Friday night. So there's some new blood, not young blood, coming in the side.
Yes. John, make us smarter. You've delved into the energy buckets that a coach has at different phases of a team's development.
Yeah, I looked at this, Gerard, with the view of where your team is and what they need to develop and where you spend most of your time during the week. Doesn't mean you don't coach all facets. You do across, no matter where your team's at. But I started off by looking at the teams down the bottom of the ladder. Where do you spend most of your time? Your coaching energy buckets. Where do you start when you're coaching a team down the bottom? And I couldn't help it. I was watching the Swans West Coast game last week, and I saw the scoreboard, and I saw a couple of efforts. The first one, as we turn to the vision, will be one of what I think is the top 3 player in the competition in Isaac Heaney. It's really important to notice the scoreboard here. And so if you're coaching a team down the bottom of the ladder, you use these type of examples to show your younger players that even the stars, and Heaney is an absolute superstar, and regardless of the scoreboard, this is the sort of stuff he does. He doesn't need to do that. He does not need to do that. This is Brodie Grundy, who's has been to 3 successful clubs, 30 plus years of age. He gets to the point where they're even further in front, the Swans, at this particular point. The ball goes in, he's with his man, he's watching there. It's late and deep in the last quarter, and he goes hard as he possibly can. Chases, falls over, gets up and goes again. The second effort to be able to put pressure on, the ball goes out of bounds. Reiterate the scoreboard at that particular point in time. And then I look at, the Bombers who have, they've had a tough year so far, but then I look at this opportunity that they've got as a coaching opportunity. Guelphy, who just runs and runs and runs. And these are the things that they'll be trying to highlight. Brad will be trying to highlight this as much as we can. That's a super effort. And just as importantly, you'd be showing the vision of the players coming over and patting him on the back. You'd be saying, how does that feel to those particular players? And you'd be saying to Guelphy, how does that feel? You're trying to spread the message. When you're coaching a team down at the bottom of the ladder, you're looking for little nuggets of gold like that, and you're reinforcing it as much as you can.
There were signs of that. I'm not being condescending about Essendon. There was halfway through the second quarter, there were signs of that against the Western Bulldogs, that those sorts of things were starting to come back into their team.
All right, so that's standards, not scoreboard. Then there's raising the bar.
Yeah, and you get to the stage where you're starting to get to your standards a bit more consistently. Then the next level, North aren't quite at that next level just yet, but they're starting to, and maybe an indication of that was when you saw Alistair at 3/4 time last week, and he's starting to raise the bar a bit. And if we have a look at the vision of maybe the North team from last week, and we're talking about the scramble situation, making sure when you play the best teams, they pressure you. And so this is from a centre bounce. You can just see here the North players get forward of the centre bounce a little bit. Now, I always like to have a diamond shape in a scramble. When you're watching when your fans are watching it from the sidelines, you don't really understand the shape of it. But we used to like having balance around there when the pressure's on, that you had some release targets. A couple of North players just a little bit forward of the contest there. Now, that's okay for 1 or 2, but you can't have 3 or 4 forward of the contest. And this is one from Luke Parker, our ex-captain, who was deep in the last quarter. He's down deep in the back pocket there, just looking for some support. Players to come over there. The pressure's on when you're playing the best teams. This happens a lot. And so I'm sure Alistair's raising the bar at the moment. He's looking at coaching these guys a little bit harder and lifting the standards up. And that's what happens when you start to see a little bit of green shoots coming through. You start to see the rise of your team, and you start to raise the bar internally.
So get numbers inside the diamond to support.
Absolutely, when you're playing the best team.
And that's what you talk about when you hear sometimes people talk about shape. Oh, they've got good shape around the footy.
Good shape.
That's what you're talking about.
Good shape is a diamond, and you train it. It's not just a random event. You train it. And the third bucket is when you're at the top of the ladder, that's when you talk about, a lot of the times you're talking about managing game situations, game state. You're really talking about the technical. You've got a lot of your game covered. That's where your coaching buckets and energy should be diverted.
So that's your close game scenarios with Hawthorn and Geelong.
Absolutely.
That we saw on Monday.
They'll be in that sweet spot practicing it all the time.
Yeah. It's great to have you here, John. Enjoy your time in Adelaide.
Love it. Thank you.
John Longmire makes us smarter every Wednesday night. He'll be paired with Adam Simpson again next week. Dermot Burton is about to join us. It's always a good night when Derm's on site. It's easy to see these two as kindred spirits, the sporting sphere, I suspect a social circle as well.
Oh, I know, social circle, not to suspect. My word.
Showmen, so popular in the community and community-minded as well as their great sporting feats.
Peninsula boys, Gerard, who have gone on to the world stage. Dermot is world renowned, as is that man, and was right there. But two biggest sporting figures to come from the one area would be hard to find than Brereton and Warne.
So it is rather lovely continuing the work of the Shane Warne legacy. Dermot Brereton.
Thank you, Gerard. Hey, Garry.
Hello, Dermot. Good to be back. It's so great to have you here.
Pleasure.
We did a couple of these here ourselves.
Yes, we have. We have a couple of years ago.
So when the invitation comes, Jackson has done so much work across a couple of years and he asks for a hand. How natural is it for you to say yes to this?
Easy, great fit. Spoke to Jacko again today and he said, remind you to say check, Derm, not a test. So he's still giving me instructions, but he's a wonderful, wonderful lad and his dad would be so proud of him. Brookie and Summer have done a great job as well.
And your history, we'll get a little bit of that out and then we'll talk about the legacy health checks, which are just, I think, are brilliant. But you both go back away. Warne wears the number 23 on his playing shirt as a result of your good self.
Yeah, Bushy McArdle, Brendan McArdle, Gerard, with your love of cricket, you remember him. He introduced me to Shane once and he'd played 2 games for Victoria. And he said, I want you to meet this kid. He loves you. He loves you. And I saw him come over and he was overweight, chubby and that. And he said, he's going to play cricket for Australia. And I looked at him and went, oh, you're kidding, aren't you? Got that wrong by 708 wickets. Yeah, but he was infectious the first time I met him. And he got body proud and health conscious by the end. Yeah, he did have a few durries along the way, we know that. But he did take his fitness and health pretty strongly at the end.
How much did you love his company?
He's good fun. He's good fun. We both know, we all know, that there is a certain stigma when you play with the baggy green cap. And as you know with your radio shows, that to get guests on sometimes can be problematic. And whenever I've done radio and we wanted to speak to anyone in the test arena, it was, oh, he's busy, oh, he's out to lunch, oh, he's training here. I go, all right, give me Shane again. And Shane was like, yeah, no problem. He was the most accessible. And let's be honest, as good as some of the others were, he was the biggest megastar Australia has ever produced in Test cricket, but he was so accessible. And the thing I loved about Shane, even in his original charity, everyone that he assisted, he knew them by name. He had their phone numbers. He'd speak to them weekly. He would see them out, he'd see them at functions, and he would address them. One little fellow, there's some shots from years ago, Aussie, and he would come up and he would speak to him about the illness and the likes, and he never lost that contact. He was a great, great people's person. And yes, that extended to after dark hours occasionally. He was a great people's person then as well. He was very, very popular.
I can vouch for that, having sat on the foundation. So what we've got now is the Shane Warne Legacy Health Checks. Yep. So you talk about relatability to the public, and this is the most important thing, and it's why it resonates so strongly, because of what Dermot's saying, is that everyone related to Shane Warne, and I can say this without embarrassing the man sitting next to me. He has a similar presence in the public and talks to everyone and will stop for everyone, Dermot. So this marriage of Dermot and the Shane Warne Legacy Health Check is perfect. 10,000 screenings, Derm, they won over the weekend. There was 9,645
last year.
What an opportunity to invest in your own health this weekend, courtesy of our late great mate.
Absolutely. So it's a health check, as you said. And of that, roughly around 20% of the people who had a result led to them going to seek their GP and get further care. And of that, there's another smaller percentage of people who've actually altered their lifestyle. So it is having an effect on the population's health. So, as you say, 9,645 it was last year. We're looking for 10,000 this year. It's pretty easy, so it costs nothing. It takes 3 or 4 minutes to do. You go up there. You saw Jacko then when he put his arm in the band, which takes into account your body mass index, your heart age, your height, your weight, and your blood pressure, and it collates that and gives you a rounded reading of where your health fitness is at and what needs to happen from thereafter. Yeah.
So, men, and I'm looking in the audience, and there's plenty of candidates out here, as we all are.
Some fit ones too, Gaz.
Not many. But men are historically poor at taking some responsibility for their own health. So how much easier can we make this for you? You get to go to the footy and watch the game we all love, but for 3 minutes, the investment in your health can save your life. So it doesn't cost a cent to it, is the other thing.
Which is thankful to La Trobe Health and another one that's close to my heart, Diabetes Australia. My partner, Julie, she's a type 1 diabetic. She won't like it. Archie's mum, she gets known as now. She's a type 1 diabetic. So you are at risk, greater risk to developing type 2 diabetes as well. So they... the South Australian government has been of great assistance also, so that you can turn up and do this for free.
Brilliant.
I mean, it's a little stepping stone precursor to going to the GP is costly somewhat, so this can tell you whether you really need to go to the GP or not. So yeah, it's really accessible. It's in 5 locations around the precinct over in Rundle Mall. It's at the Norwood Food and Wine Festival. It's here at the Southern Concourse. Last year we had 46 stations you could get tested at. 52 this year. So we've stepped it up. So very little wait time, and it, as you say, takes 3 or 4 minutes.
Do it. Invest in your health.
Are you more popular in Adelaide now than you ever were previously, would you say?
Still testing the waters there, Gerard. I think I'm going all right with some of the Port Adelaide people because never played against them, didn't bash up any of them. There's no history.
It's great to see you. And good on you for the work you're doing.
Good on you guys.
Gather around.
Thank you.
He's a beauty. Dermot Burton with us on AFL 360. And next, Tony Modra, the Adelaide icon. This is a special audience coming up to close our night.
Australia's population has descended upon Adelaide.
Welcome back to that time of year. This is bigger than grand final week. Gather round 2026.
The focus of the footy world is firmly on the beautiful city of Adelaide.
Yeah, look at these two. Loving it.
All 18 teams back in action. That's right, 9 games in the one place. All live right here on Fox Footy. First up with these hometown Crows, ready to rock Adelaide Oval against the Blues.
Another unspeakable boss loss. Nothing can save Carlton.
Into Friday night with the Magpies and the Dockers. Last time they met, a showstopper.
It is a colossal result from Fremantle. They've beaten Collingwood at the Coliseum. Great smother.
This was a big one. They've won 3 on the trot. Hey, we love Adelaide.
Your loaded Super Saturday begins from noon. Clarko's Roos plotting a Barossa ambush against the reigning champs.
North Melbourne finally own Good Friday. Can he do something miraculous? Oh, yes.
Across at the Adelaide Oval. The Bombers out to rescue a season in free fall.
Another nail in the Essendon coffin.
Maxie's Demons await. Running into Norwood. Have a look at this midfield firepower for Sydney and the Gold Coast.
Oh, is this turn on?
Isaac Heaney and the Chad Warne. Up against Noah Anderson and Matty Rowell, best mates from way back, driving the hopes of Dimmer's sons. Back at the Adelaide Oval with the main event, Bulldogs and Hawks, live and exclusive to Fox Footy. The one and only Marcus Bontempelli.
Marcus Bontempelli goes bang!
And 208cm unicorn, Sam Darcy up against the Wizard.
The Wizard doing wizardry.
Nick Watson and the eternal Jack Gunston.
He just gets better and better and better.
ticket on air from noon at Norwood with Geelong and West Coast.
Reed just brushes off Anderson. Unbelievable.
Tell you what, there's some excited fans.
Next up, at the picture-perfect Barossa, it's the Giants and Tigers.
Am I looking at the camera?
Lawler does it again.
And Chief and the gang are all here on the hill at the Adelaide Oval. Ready to entertain the way only they can. Leading into the closing act, Port Adelaide and St Kilda. Footy's first $2 million man.
Here he's making it Miller.
Messiah Wanganeen Miller.
Cool head. Oh, sublime step and skills.
Against perhaps the next, Zach Butters.
Flings it to Butters. Good stand.
Box office.
Unbelievable.
That's the way it goes this gather round. You won't miss a moment right here on Fox Footy.
Now that is a setup. We had one other task for Dermot Brereton to play Footy Santa. The select footy cards arrived, so he's distributed them around our live audience. And he did it with great style, as you would imagine.
And put 6 in his back pocket as well. It's a big kid, Dermot. It always has been.
So the footy card's perfect for the school holidays. Now the big finish. All we want to do is be hooked up to Tony Modra highlights for the last few minutes. Tony, it's great to have you on 360.
Great to be here. I've had the best 6 minutes during that ad break. I was just sitting talking and reminiscing about the old days. And I know we're here to talk about something specifically. How many cars did you win, Mark of the Year style?
Well, won a couple of cars, and I think I won $20,000 cash. So
2 Mitsubishis, he told me.
Two Mitsubishi Magnus. So yeah, I mean, back in the day, Mitsubishi Magnus. I'm not complaining though. So Nick Nat Nui, what did he win? A year's supply of Weet-Bix. I'm happy with my prizes.
You also said though you were sitting there watching Natalie and Gazza took some big hanger, the one over Gary Pert, which was hardly.
Yeah.
And you said that wasn't a mark.
Yeah, 1994. So that was probably one of the better marks I thought I took up at Brisbane. And then when I saw him take that, I was watching TV. I'm going, don't pay that. But they did. No, I don't mind losing it to such a great champion like Gaz.
All right, more in a tick. Just you do have official duties this week, and of course you do because it's the kick-off competition. So the AFL and the SANFL have been running goal-kicking competitions.
They have. So South Australia's done. So now we're just trying to entice the people from interstate to come over, bring their footy boats and have a crack.
Magnificent. Nice. There's a prize on the end of all
this.
Yeah,
$5,000 cash.
Jeez.
There's so you got the open, you got the juniors, girls and boys. So 5,000 cash, and then you give 5,000 to your nominated club too.
How do you get involved in this, Gerard?
Oh, I know. We're allowed to nick out at half time.
We need a senior citizen comp for us.
We do. I know. I'm not sure we can get there. So here's the details here: men, women, boys, and girls. So prize money and the final at half time at Geelong and West Coast on Sunday. That's just outstanding, and that will be. I think there'll be plenty of people lining up for that.
So go to the AFL app, and you'll be able to see all the details there.
All right, roll them. Let's roll the Tony Modra highlight, shall we? The year is 1993. You kick 129 goals. Right, so the first tier of the goals of the year. But this has me absolutely transfixed.
Marks of the year, that one?
It's so good. So 129 goals, 61. So you score 190 times. And you have 240 kicks for the year. Gaz, this would warm your heart.
I know.
Didn't used to waste them. Didn't have to go and participate in team defence those days.
I'm looking at you. They're the 3 marks of the year. And you're not taking them if you're up on the wing being a defender like they do these days.
No.
So that is unbelievable. What did you do with those other 50 kicks, by the way? You had, what was it, Gerard?
190 scores.
190 from 240
kicks. A few
kicks.
points, obviously, but yeah. No, and I lost the goal kicking that year to Gary Ablett again. So,
jeez. What'd you kick for the season?
129 for that season. I think Gaz beat me in the minor round.
So Gary Ablett beat you in the home and away, but then you went past him in the finals as they come around.
But I got the opportunity again in 97, so I think I won at Coleman that year.
This is the best, one of the best highlights, if not the best highlight reel of all time. You played soccer as a kid.
I did, yeah. Till I was
when did you
about
start
10.
when did you realise you could do this?
I don't know. They just, I was one of those kids in the at high school where, you were the idiot sitting up the front and everyone would be taking hangers on you. And I said, well, I want to do the same thing. So I sat up the back and had my chance and went from there. Realised I could probably jump a little bit.
Oh, could you jump? Did you ever hurt yourself?
A couple of times. Yeah, I did a couple of times, but, just get up and try and do it again.
I mean, crowd love to do it. I had a coach once that told me you don't always have to take hangers from behind. Sometimes you need to spoil. I said, you don't want to tell 50,000 people that's for sure.
I'm mesmerised by this.
It's mesmerising.
So you're watching a lot of footy. You're still involved today with the Crow.
That's the
Is that your favourite?
Yeah, that's my favourite. That was a good ride, but anyway, sorry.
No, I'm happy to go back and look over it. Are you still involved with the Crows? So you're still in a game, match day. Feel free to commentate any of these while we're watching.
So I've been with the Crows for the last 12 years on the corporate side. So I host the bunker room every home game, which is good. We do a few Crows Jets away. And, I love being back at the club, being involved with the family as well.
And how fitting that we finished on a State of Origin game out here, because you and I are just waxing lyrical, and he's just picked a fight with the Vicks in the ad break. He doesn't want us going back to Western Australia. You want him back over here?
Oh, well, I'm not fussed. I don't think it's going to work if, say, SA Vic play in WA. So I think, you're just going to have to play it where the home team is, that's for sure. So, no, I miss those times. I mean, you played in a few, Gaz. It was a great period there, especially SA Vic. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I was old school back in the day. I used to watch everyone swap Guernseys, so that's the first thing I wanted to do. And I remember when I first played AFL at Crows, you had Cornsey as the coach, and there was more important playing AFL, not State of Origin. Tried to entice you not to play. And I said, mate, you played in a heap. I want to play in a heap. Yeah, because that was about playing with the best and playing against the best. So I did swap a few Guernseys. I think I've got Silvanis and a few others, which is fantastic. I think even one day up here, I swapped with EJ Witten, my tie, so I've still got his Victorian tie. He probably threw mine in the bin on the way out, I don't know. Special times.
How about that? That's the passion that means that State of Origin has to come back, Gerard.
It does.
Put the coaches back in their box, Mods, and get out and play.
In those heady days when the crowd was here to see you, how crazy was it, Tony? What was life like for you in the town?
It was pretty full on. It was all new to me, coming from the country, and then you know how passionate they were, and it got pretty tense out there sometimes. They just want to make sure, wanted you to kick goals every game. I tried to want to kick goals every game. Sometimes it didn't work, but they're very passionate, and even more passionate when I went to Fremantle.
And was it a difficult life for you? Like you were, I know we throw it around, a bandit around, a rock star, but you were all of that here. Was it difficult?
It was a bit intense, The media got to you sometimes when you weren't performing, so you just tried to lock all that out. So anyway, it is what it is.
He's come through. He's come through in good shape.
Great. So Roo told us last night it took you a little while to make peace with the fact you didn't get to play in the premiership. Have you got yourself there?
Oh no, that's fine. I mean, I like to think that I helped them get there. And I mean, I couldn't do much about the first one. I think 97. I did my knee, but it was a couple of years before I actually hurt it down at Geelong, and did an arthroscope there then on the day in 95, and found out with 2 or 3 quarters of my anterior cruciate then. And I thought I was going to get it done then. They said, no, you still got a quarter left, keep playing. So it lasted till the 97 prelim, and unfortunately it went. So it is what it is.
Roo also told us that he had a greyhound running.
No, we don't tell that story.
Did you hear him say that last night?
No.
He said you said pick him up, and you both went out and it won, and it was a late night.
Oh, it was just a bit of a celebration, that was all. Don't know if you get away with it these days.
I'm sure you wouldn't, but they were the good old days.
Tony, you'll be getting selfies all night and all right through Gather Round. It's so tremendous to see you. Thank you for being here.
It's great to be here, guys. Thank you.
What a way to finish our 360s from Gather Round.
Legend.
A legend indeed. Righto, we're here all the way through, Gaz.
We are. Let's get on with it. Big game tomorrow night, and away we go. It's going to be awesome.
Thanks to our 2 live audiences. Enjoy all that's to come in Gather Round and the festival of footy that it is. Let's delve deep into what lies ahead in First Crack Preview.